another story, as it were. When I joined the Harrow Studio Pottery course in Harrow, North London, in the autumn of '65, and probably I was one of the potters, one of the students there who had the most experience, because I'd been potting then full time as a student for just a bit over 2 years. I'd worked in the pottery and I worked in the art school. And I had a girlfriend at the time. She was on the fine art side, and she kept saying, "You've got to get a style." And at the time, I was spending a lot of time in the British Museum, the V&A, mostly the British Museum because it was easier to get to. I was a penniless student. And I would go to the ceramics department, and I'm sort of embarrassed to say it, but it was almost kind of this religious experience of looking at these handmade pots, very much the pots of the unnamed craftsman, and kind of feeling this connection. And I almost felt that I was shaking hands with the people who meant this. As soon as you started to move, because I don't remember the British Museum collection has a lot of Japanese pots, but they're the sort of later kind of upmarket exported dexterity. It's not really the kind of peasant wear that I got to know later on. And as soon as you sort of moved into that kind of fancier wear, it was as though there was a carapace to the making of pots. You know, those unnamed craftsmen usable things. You know, they were naked pots. You could really feel the clay and the use of them, and that they didn't have a self-consciousness at all to them. And the idea of creating a style, to me, just seemed to be absolutely not the thing to do. I could see very much that in terms of making your name and being commercial success and things, having a style is a really good idea. But to me, it went against that quality that I was appreciating and saw in those pots that didn't. The style grew out of the clay, the making, whatever, but nobody had thought, oh, I must put style on this and I must do a design. And so, yeah, I thought that's the way I would go. I would just make pots that were usable and the style would just come out of it.
You can't help
probably
to have
an admission of failure.
You can't help to have a style though. Once you've made an amount of something, it just...
Yeah, and that's the way
you can start to see common things, themes, the things you like.
Yeah, and I think that goes with working with clay or whatever. Imposing, as it were, a design on it, a style on it, seemed to me totally the opposite. Anyway, I don't know quite what I'm doing about that bit. So I'm going to do some plates. And in many ways, you can think of plates as being a very shallow bowl, but I have started experimenting a little bit with making them in a different manner. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start off by making a chuck to put the bat on. So you need sticking the bat down, but also what I do is I throw a ring of clay. So yeah, you just say, and then put that on and throw plate.
that back went on almost centre, if
Almost
it's the
centre.
back, when you put it on, it was almost perfectly centred. Would you bother changing it if it was off centre?
Not as wildly off centre, no, because I'm not going out to that
Yeah.
full width, so...
And it doesn't put you off?
Yeah.
No.
So again, I'm using that bony heel of my hand as the pressure point to spread this clay out.
What weight of clay is that?
Was I usually use 2¼ pounds for a dinner plate size.
So you've got your thumb on your left hand, just sort of like feeling the rim, sort of like...
It's just a little bit of compression.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to use pretty much all the back, so it's just as well.
What weight of clay did you start with?
2¼ pounds, so that's what I use. So and then I push this.
Oh, that's brave.
Just like that.
And maybe shape it or not. Now, normally when I make plates here, well, not under pressure or whatever, I don't actually cut them off the boards. I just leave them. They have to dry slowly for this to work. They pop off the bats. I use bats that have got a pretty good surface on them. And that's that. Under the circumstances, that won't work. Because they'll dry on the rims and they'll crack unless I cut them off. So I'm going to cut this off. Okay, and then I have a piece of wood and I just lift off the bat. And then as quickly as we recenter that ring, if I upset it.
And it's your whole arm that you're moving.
Yeah. Yes, you're sort of moving it from your shoulder. And when I started my own pottery, the idea was to make a wide range of usable pots. But it's interesting, it seems over the years people have had less and less use for pots. I mean, I used to make a lot of storage jars, and those great big, the giant storage jars that I really like making. I'd so many years. Teapots, you sew. You regularly sell quite a lot of teapots. Again, people use tea bags. Lots of things that people don't seem to use anymore. But plates seem to be back in fashion. So plates. My intention is to make lots of plates.
Can you? I think it might be heresy, but can you stick your porcupine quill down to
Sorry,
show?
can you?
Stick your porcupine quill down to show how
Ooh.
thick it is? I know it's naughty, but and please don't if you don't want to. I'm just interested
probably
to know.
a little on the weightier side than I might want it. The main thing is, I mean, you can have those plates of cafetiers. They're not really light. What's important about them is that they're even. They have a good balance. They're even when it comes to glazing them.
Whoa!
So what's that?
Gosh,
Centimetre?
that's very
Can't see
small.
from here.
Gosh, that's quite thin,
That's
isn't
half
it?
a centimetre.
Yeah.
Oh, and I suppose if they pop off, that's okay because you don't lose so much with the wiring off.
No, but I'm going to have to.
All right.
Right.
So we meant to not work. Let's just leave it on that.
Sorry.
So we meant to not work.
Well, if you've got the time, but they have to dry very slowly because otherwise the rims dry very quickly and then they crack. So that's why he's wiring them off because we've given it a time to process.
Okay, so if we were making, we would need to work wrong.
Is that with your levering off tool?
Yeah. Sometimes some of these they have a square end on these.
No, that's the normal bamboo, not the leaving off tool.
So the pushing in is actually producing the rim, isn't it? As
Yeah.
well as,
Yeah.
gosh.
And I can make a plate much faster this way
Yeah.
than the ones that I used to do where I was then throwing the rim.
Yeah.
Because these ones probably don't need turning because they're all
They're,
the
they're,
same thickness.
no, they're designed not to be
Yeah.
turned. Yeah. And I think that, the form is improved by the simplicity of the making.
Useful.
So now I wonder what happened to Denise, who was my squeeze.
To what?
She was the one who said, you must get in style. She was a lovely, very talented, but very damaged young woman. While I was with her, she discovered that her mother, who had died when she was a small baby, was living in South London.
Oh no!
Yes.
Wait, she thought that she was dead. She thought her mother was dead.
She had been told her mother was dead.
Wow.
That would mess you up.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that messes with your head, doesn't it?
Did she find her in the end?
Sorry?
Did she meet her in the end?
Yes, yes, but it wasn't a happy situation. And I was an inexperienced 18, 19-year-old. I couldn't cope with it. I was no help at all.
So when we do this,
Sorry?
when we flatten out our clay, I imagine it won't be as even as your one.
Yeah.
So imagine you are us,
Okay.
and so sort of do a bit of troubleshooting.
Okay.
I think you have to be very careful using ribs because they kind of deaden the clay.
Is that a rib?
Yeah.
You know, but that is a way.
And then,
Some people, I think there's one
Yeah, I
place.
think you need to tell them what you told me, because
Yeah.
that's really helpful. Well, I got my ripples because I've
Oh,
done it
yes, yeah,
unevenly.
yeah. That's the other thing, that if you do get unevenness, it works very well to go backwards in terms of smoothing it out. That does work. It's the same if you're making bottles with a narrow neck. They can get a wiggle in them, but if you throw down, it removes the wiggle that you've got going up. I'd say it's you're sort of going against the movement clay, whereas you made that movement of the clay go against it, and that smooths it out.
That movement coming out.
Almost.
Yeah.
Well, I
You
did.
follow
yeah.
the grooves, don't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
And then when I tried to use a rib, you just scrape the top off,
mm,
and the thing gets thinner and thinner.
mm.
You can think of it like undoing the letter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you use your thumb like that, you're kind of using it like a rib.
Yeah.
You can steady it with the other hand even, so you're really bracing it and, you know, just working it along the straight edge with your thumb.
Okay.
Like,
Say again.
well, you know how you would hold a rib, you just sort of hold your thumb.
Oh, I
like that.
see.
Just show me the angle
And
with
use
that
it
thing
to-
again.
Yeah, because you know,
Gotcha.
you're not just lifting that, you're not lifting it straight, are you? It's not going like that. It's
No.
kind of going up
Yeah,
and
you're-
out.
That's again the benefit of the fact this has got a curve on it, and I'm going in at an angle, so that's sort of putting the curve.
So most of the pressure is on the corner of that thing then.
Hey.
The pressure is sort of somewhere here,
Okay.
and I might experiment with using different shapes underneath to make different shapes. I've only just started doing this way. No, Sue, not towards your hand. Sue,
Use that.
you're doing it towards your hand. Those things are very sharp. You always do it away from yourself.
That's a good teaching example.
You are.
Take the next one.
Douglas, why did you put a groove in the
Take that.
rim of that?
Why did I put it?
A groove in the...
Well, again, this thing that with plates, often what people make them and they sort of lack definition. With glaze in it, or in the yakashimi with a more wood ash collecting in it, that should be rather interesting. You wouldn't want it sort of left as those grooves if you've got food and washing it up, but if glaze is collected in it, the different depth of the glaze will make for different colours, so you get decoration there. And we did, on the July course, one of the lunches was provided by the cafe down the road, and it came with knives and forks. So I challenged people to use their knives and forks in decorative or other methods, which is what they're doing there.
I was wondering if the groove would also help the glaze, as you apply the glaze, to kind of drip off at that point. rather than spreading.
No, it wouldn't at the sort of angle that is. Right, I could go on, but I think I've probably done enough overthink. Okay, any questions?
how you're going to
Can
work
I
it.
take a closer look?
Because you've got a
I
wire
just want a
cut
closer
well.
look.
Wrap it round.
Can I just tip it?
Yeah,
So
so
it
it
won't
would
fall
wet
off,
out
yeah?
and just be frozen.
So literally when you went in with that tool, you were just going in like that. And
No,
then did you
I went in, there was an angle like that. If you go straight in, you won't have that curve. It'll be more angular. If you go in,
So can you just show me with not just like pretending to do it, right? So
If you want to.
but obviously then, you know, whatever angle you put on that will make a difference to the
Yes.
profile.
because this is that by going in at that angle. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But actually,
What's the name?
it's a bit like
Cut.